Hi, dear brothers and sisters. How are you? I I was asked by a few friends about what's my opinion about the vaccine and is it like connected to the mark of the beast in the New Testament that is talking about in Revelations 13. And I gave them my answers. They urged me to do a video, which I did in Arabic. By the way, this is the first video I ever do on YouTube in English. I have a YouTube channel and it's all in Arabic, biblical teachings and stuff. So, if you don't know me, my name is Bassem Adranly. I'm a pastor in Jerusalem and in Ramallah. I'm ordained with the Christian and Missionary Alliance and also have the Open Church, which is a virtual church ministry, Al Kanisa, the Open Church. It's all what we produce is in Arabic. We are producing 3 courses in English, and that I will share later. But anyway, this issue that I'm going to talk about, is there connection between the vaccine and the mark of the beast? That's the only thing I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about whether the vaccine is good or not. I'm not going to talk about whether it carries a barcode or not. This is not the subject of the video. I'm not going to tell you take it or don't take it. That's your own choice based on your evaluation, and I think we should be responsible to evaluate. So, is it connected to the mark of the beast or not? That's the main subject of this video. In my opinion, there is no connection between the vaccine and the mark of the beast. And for various reasons, the book of Revelations mentions something that is called the Great Tribulation. The Great Tribulation is a series of very hard events that happen on a spectrum of less than 7 years. Now, what people are referring to, for those who don't know, are the verses in chapter 13, Revelation 13, where it says that will force all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads. And it says that so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its names. So if you don't have this mark on your right hand or on your forehead, you will not be able to buy and sell. First, I just want to, this is what they are referring to, and I just want to clarify something about what we call the apocalyptic literature, which is the symbolic literature type of literature we see in Daniel, actually from 7 to 11. Not all of it, but many of it, like the book of Revelation, like some of Ezekiel or Zechariah, etc. It's a form of literature that has many symbols, many allegories, that you cannot take all literal, but you have to decide that on a literal framework. You cannot say all it's symbolic. You have to determine for yourself what is literal and what is allegory. Because without doing that, then it's nothing. You cannot take anything from it. So we begin Revelation by Jesus speaking to, John in his heavenly form. And he's telling him, I was dead, now I'm alive, and having in my hand the keys of Hades and death. Is this symbolic? No, it's not. So you have to make, some say that the millennium is symbolic, okay? Then you have to make like a skeleton, I call it, that on it everything holds. You cannot say all symbolic. That's the first point. Now the second point that you have to understand, that John was raptured to heaven or took to heaven, and he saw many future events. And he described them in his 2,000 years old understanding and language. So you have to put this in mind. He saw the mark, or he saw something that they are scanning on their hand on their heads, and he said, this is the mark. We don't know, because if it's a mark, then it's a mark. You cannot say, oh, it's a mark, but it's a nanocells in your body. It could be a nanocells, it could be a mark. But what he saw, that people probably were scanned on their hands, like the temperature, what they do today. They scan your hand or your forehead. Okay? He saw many things. He described it in his own language. In chapter 9, he talked about locusts that have shields of iron, and there was many smog, and they were like shooting or biting only human. They have some sort of weapon that is not conventional, has some sort of rays, biological, I don't know. It's only harming humans. He saw in chapter 13, this chapter, that the other beast that came from earth gave life to the image of the beast. And he saw the image speaking. Probably he saw TV monitors that he haven't seen before. So you have to keep also this in mind, that he wrote what he saw in his own language and in his own, back then, limited understanding of what's gonna be, what's the future is gonna be like. So we just keep this in mind. Now, the thing is that before we get to the mark of the beast, which is in the second part of the Great Tribulation, and I will show you now, there is a series of events I will not go through all the events, but I will go through the most obvious ones that no one can miss. We're talking about something on cataclysmic scale that it cannot miss. So there are 7 seals, and then 7 trumpets, and then we come to this age, which is the second part of the Great Tribulation. So we're not there yet. So just give you some obvious events. When he opened the 6th seal, which is chapter 6, that is prior to chapter 7, that he mentions the tribulation. This could be happening in the beginning of tribulation. We don't know. We don't know exactly. There are theories, but we don't know. So he says, after the 6th seal, great earthquake, the sun turned black and the whole moon turned blood red. Some may say, oh, this happened many years ago. Okay, let's go on. Also, the 6th seal includes stars in heaven fell to earth. Every mountain and island was removed from its place. Now, come on. This is not a sign that anyone can miss. Talking about stars falling from heaven and mountains removing from their... Every mountain and island was removed from its place. As far as I know, we haven't experienced something like that in our world. 7th trumpet. That's also before mentioning the Great Tribulation. They came hail and fire mixed with blood. Now, mixed with blood, is it really blood, or he saw something red? This is, you have to understand that, as I said, he explained it the way he saw it. And it was hurled down on earth. 1/3 of the earth was burned up. 1/3 of the trees were burned. And all the green grass was burned up. 1/3 of the trees were burned. 1/3 of the green was burned. And all grass was burned up. Now, this is not something you miss. We still have a long way until we get to the mark of the beast. We are not there yet. Wait. Now we have the trumpets, the 2nd trumpets. As I told you, I'm only going through the obvious signs. Something like a huge mountain. all blaze was thrown into the sea. A third of the sea turned into blood. As I said, he saw red. That's how he described it. A third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. Probably he's talking about meteors, I think they call them in English. It's not a planet, it's a big rock traveling in the space. And it hit our Earth. Now, as far as I know, it's not something we miss. And he's talking about a third of the creatures dying. And so it didn't happen. Sorry. So, Revelations 8, third trumpet, a great star blazing like a torch fell from the sky and on third of the rivers and on the springs of water, and the third of the water turned bitter. Now, I haven't also read about that. It didn't happen. Fourth trumpet, third of the sun was strike, a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of them turned dark, a third of the day was without light, and also a third of the night. As far as I know, this didn't happen yet. Now, fifth trumpet, I saw a star that has fallen from the sky to earth. Come on. This will kill billions of people, and this didn't happen. All of these are happening before we get to the time of the mark of the beast. So, these signs are not allegorical for a simple reason, because Jesus talked about these signs. He said in Matthew 24, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky. So, as far as I know, I'm also a theologian, Matthew 24, Luke 21, Mark 13, where Jesus is sharing the signs that are going to happen before his coming. These types of literature are not allegorical. They are not apocalyptic literature. So these I personally take literally. And these didn't happen. So you cannot say it's symbolic. Oh, a third of the sky, a third. I mean, this is an expression of literature. Big number, but it doesn't mean third. But I mean, when we talk about the stars falling from the sky, this is not literal. This is real. Which, of course, stars could be like planets, or also like meteors or things like that. So Revelations 11 is talking about the two witnesses. Two witnesses, one on the form of Elijah, it seems, because it says he can shut up the heavens so that it will not rain. Also the other that can turn water into blood, which is in the form of Moses. This says that these were witnesses, and they have authority to, they have and they say with every kind of plague, as often as they want, they can strike earth with every kind of plague, just like Moses, as much as they want. And that they try to fight them, then they manage to kill them. All the world saw them dead. That's probably in the earliest ages they thought, what kind of nonsense is that? For us, it's not nonsense. Simple. Through the mediums of, broadcast and stuff, and internet, whatever. So, but they were given life, and then they ascended to heaven. Did this happen? No, it didn't happen. Also in Revelations 13, you see there are two animals, one coming from the sea with 7 heads and 10 horns. And through Daniel 7, we know that he's talking about a political system here, or political kingdom, because that's how he said there are 4 kingdoms in the book of Daniel. Most probably it is, like a world system, it could be. Okay, this is the second part of the tribulation. Why? Because he's talking here in Revelations 13:5. The beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies, and to exercise its authority for 42 months, which is half of the seven, like almost half of the 7 years, like the second part of the Great Tribulation. Okay, this is the second part of the Great Tribulation, and we're not there yet. There are all these signs that I just read that didn't happen yet. So we're not there yet. So, and then we come to, that there will be another beast coming from earth, urging people to worship this political system, the beast that came from the sea that has 10 heads and 7 heads and 10 horns, so forth. And he gave life to the image of the beast, and they have to, take the seal and to loyalty to this world system. I mean, it could mean anything. They first, you could see when they talked about the mark of the beast, you see the barcode printed on the forehead in the images. And then they spoke about the chip here. And now they're speaking about nanocells. I'm speaking about believers. I mean, it could be none of that. Identification of humans is not something impossible. They have the technology. They just don't have enough technology to have a very handy machine to put it on your anywhere in your body, and it would scan your DNA. They don't need to code you, I believe. So I'm sure this will be in the future, to put you in a system as a code. This is not something difficult, and they don't need to plant anything in your body. So we have to always try to get out of the box. So we first thought of barcodes, then we thought of chips that they put here, a real, like a medicine capsule put here, or now they're speaking of the nanocells of the vaccine. And so, I mean, we should learn the lesson that it's not anything we see, that's it. Not necessarily. It's not necessarily true. So we'll be forced to put, because here is also putting many things. It says, the rich and poor, free and slave, to receive the mark on their right hand or their foreheads. And now it says this, that so that they could buy and sell to deal with this world, okay? They had the mark, comma, one possibility, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. So you have two possibilities. It's not just one. Or the name or the number of its names. And I think in the Greek it's talking about three things, but doesn't matter. Two possibilities. So it's not really something really that you can touch or you can see. It's something, could be, let's say. So, but the thing that I want to say, that it has nothing to do with the vaccine. We haven't seen all these signs that are cataclysmic. Meteor that is falling from heaven to the sea, blazed. You cannot miss that. And stars coming and hitting the earth, you cannot miss that. And 1/3 of the trees will be burned, 1/3 of the green and all the grass, you cannot miss that. 1/3 of the water will become bitter, you cannot miss that. 1/3 of the creatures of the sea will die, you cannot miss that. You cannot miss all these signs that are coming before that time of the second part of the Great Tribulation. So in my opinion, it has nothing to do with that. Now, you evaluate for yourself if you want to take it, or you don't want to take it, that's up to you. But I mean, there is not any connection in my sight between the vaccine and the mark of the beast. That's my take on it, and I'm open to criticism. And thank you again, and I wish well for all of us, and I wish we will learn and be the church Jesus wants us to be in these difficult times. Take care.